Nobody taught me how money actually works. Not my parents, not my grandparents, not a single class in school. And if you're being honest with yourself right now, probably not you either. That's what this channel is going to be about. Hi, I'm Robert Coleman. I'm 46 years old, and I'm starting this channel because of something I can't stop thinking about. I grew up in a generation where money was not a dinner table topic. It wasn't discussed with friends. It wasn't discussed with family. Honestly, in a lot of households, sex education got a lot more airtime than money education. I probably knew more about the reason for the neighbor's divorce than I did the monthly expenses on groceries. And that's saying something because that was already treated like a forbidden subject. Money was the bigger taboo. You didn't ask your parents how much they made. You didn't ask what debt they were carrying. You didn't talk about how a mortgage worked. You didn't talk about how a credit score worked, what a credit score even was, why some purchases wreck your future while others build it. You just figured it out. Or you didn't. And a lot of us didn't until it was too late. Here's what gets me. It's 2026, and that trend really hasn't changed. We still take an 18-year-old, someone who a lot of times has never filed a form, never scheduled an appointment for themselves, never seen a real bill, never had to make a single financial decision with real consequences. And with a straight face, we call them an adult. We hand them a diploma, maybe a set of car keys, and miraculously, a few weeks after that graduation, a half dozen credit card offers show up in the mail. No instructions, no real foundation, just you're grown now. Go figure it out. Good luck. And most of us do figure it out eventually. But eventually costs people a lot. It costs late fees, overdraft charges, and interest on debt that snowballs before you even understand what's happening. It costs opportunities, the house you couldn't buy, the emergency you couldn't cover because you don't even know what an emergency fund is, the job you had to stay in because you couldn't afford to leave. It cost years. I'm not saying this to blame anybody, not our parents, our schools, ourselves. I think most people who kept money quiet did it because it felt private, or because they didn't fully understand it themselves, or because talking about struggle felt like admitting failure. I get it. But silence doesn't protect anybody. It just passes the problem down to the next generation. I'm 46 years old, and it's taken me, and I'm 46 years, and I'm still learning. I didn't learn this stuff early enough. I made decisions in my 20s and 30s that I'm still paying for today because nobody ever sat me down and explained how debt compounds or what a budget actually is or how to manipulate, how to work one, or how the choices you make in your 20s quietly write the future of your 50s. I'm not here because I've never made a mistake. I'm here because I have, and I know what it feels like to figure this out the hard way and have to learn it by yourself later than you wish you had. That's the whole reason I'm doing this, not because I figured everything out, but because I wish somebody had handed me this information when I was 18. If I'm being honest, even 30. So here's what I wanted to create: a space for honest, no shame conversations about money, budgeting, debt, how it happens, how it traps you, and how you actually get out of it. Savings, not just putting money away, but real strategies that work for real incomes at any level in any education. The stuff that should have been taught, but it wasn't and still isn't. And this isn't for just adults who are already deeply into their financial lives. This is just as much for young people, our children, our grandchildren, the new generations coming up behind us who have no real understanding yet of how money, debt, and the small choices they make now can shape the next 30 to 40 years of their life. Because here's the truth: the choices you make with money at 18, 19, 20 years old, college, financial aid, because here's the truth: The choices you make with money at 18, 19, 20 years old, college, student loans, they're not small. They compound, they follow you. And if nobody ever explains it in a way that you actually understand, you don't find out until you're standing in the consequences of it. I want to change that. Not by talking down to anybody, not by shaming anybody, but by having the conversations that should have happened a long time ago. Clear, honest, without any of the taboo. You're going to see real breakdowns of budgeting, not vague advice, but actual frameworks you can use no matter what you make. You're going to see honest talk about debt, how to face it, how to plan your way out of it, without the shame that usually comes attached to those conversations. You're going to see saving strategies that work in the real world, not just in theory. And you're going to see the financial education explained the way I wish somebody had explained it to me, in plain language. No jargon, no judgment. Down the road, I want this to grow into a real in-depth conversations with people who've lived through their own money stories, and eventually build tools that make managing your money simpler than it's ever been. If any part of this hits home with you, if you grew up in a house where money was never discussed, if you're an adult right now who's still fighting this, figuring it out on your own, if you're young, nobody's ever really sat you down and explained any of this to you, this channel is for you. What I would like to ask is that you like this video, comment any issues you have, subjects you would like to learn about, subscribe, share this video. Let's build this community into something that we can all learn and truly build financial freedom for not only us, but our future generations.